for tuning into The Boardroom, where we highlight important updates, discussions, and decisions from each monthly Atlanta Public Schools board meeting. I am Sharice Darby, and this is an inside view of the boardroom from the February 4th, 2013 meeting. After the meeting was called to order at the start of the February board meeting, Superintendent Errol Davis acknowledged Sharon Pitts, General Counsel for APS, for her 16 years of service to the district. Sharon Pitts is leaving Atlanta Public Schools to serve as the Executive Director of Human Resources and Legal Services for Grand Rapids Public Schools in Michigan.
I'd like to pause for a moment and acknowledge our General Counsel, Ms. Sharon Pitts. After more than 16 years of dedicated service to Atlanta Public Schools, Ms. Pitts is moving on to another opportunity in a less hospitable climate, but a very nice opportunity nonetheless. And our February set of meetings will mark the final set of meetings for her with us, and I want to publicly thank her for her service over the years, especially her recent counsel during this time of tremendous transition in the school system. We appreciate the impact she has made on this organization, and I know I join you all in wishing her the very best as she transitions to this next phase of her very exciting life and career. So thank you very much, Sharon, and please join me in thanking her.
To the wonderful people who have helped me be successful in my career while at the Atlanta Public Schools, all the way from board members to our incredible staff of teachers and principals and administrators. So thank you, Atlanta Public Schools family. Although I'm sad to go, you'll always be in my heart, and I'll always be here supporting you.
A major topic of discussion for the February board meeting was the incident that occurred at Price Middle School on January 31st, 2013. There were several discussions surrounding safety, security, communications, and emergency procedures.
Well, yeah, certainly we had the incident at Price Middle School several weeks ago, and we discussed security and safety, which is one of the most important things we do with our children. And so we spent a good bit of time getting a briefing on that specific incident, but also how we're dealing with metal detectors and other types of safety precautions we're taking at school. So that was very, very important.
Chief Marquinta Sands gave an update and answered questions from the board regarding the incident.
We are looking into whether or not there are any external factors that may have played into last Thursday's incident, and if so, we will keep leadership apprised along the way. As part of our normal practice, we are continuing to engage continuous conversations to mitigate any future incidents such as this on our school grounds, i.e. staffing concerns, looking at if we need to purchase additional equipment. If so, we're making arrangements for that. We are also looking at some advanced technologies that we may want to use to better secure our properties. We're looking at additional training opportunities, not only with APD and our other public service partners, but training for our teachers and a customized training plan that we can implement in our schools for parents through our PTSA.
Board members addressed several concerns surrounding working cameras and metal detectors, as well as adequate and timely communication with parents and stakeholders during emergency situations.
I do want to add one note of caution, however, in this age of instant communication. We're not allowed to be inaccurate. Others are, and others were in this situation, very inaccurate. This started off as a young woman being shot at Carver. I can't communicate that. And so you're right, and I'm certainly not disputing anything you said, because I don't think we do have adequate crisis communication protocols. That's something I think that will come out of this, but our communications are going to be slower because there's a burden on us to be accurate, and that burden is not shared universally.
But I think that we need to really thank the people for the effort they put forth. One of the things that I get concerned about, I see a lot of sensationalization going on, and that put parents even a bigger panic, you know, because everybody's trying to sell a story. So I think that when you got all those things that you're dealing with, you know, you're dealing with the emotion of someone concerned about their child. You're dealing with the news media trying to see who can be more sensational than the next. And if we as board members don't act as a common effect, it can get even worse. So one of the things that we can do as board members, when parents call us, try to soothe them, to let them know that everything that can be done is being done.
Chuck Burbridge, Chief Financial Officer for APS, presented a financial update presentation before the board at the February meeting. During the presentation, Burbridge discussed the overall revenue and local tax picture for the district. Burbridge also discussed the continuing monitoring of payroll.
Yeah, we dropped 46 positions off of payroll. It's not that necessarily that there were 46 people laid off, but some of this is, there was a major review of staffing at all schools, and more importantly, the coding of staffing. And so there was a net change where we were able to take people who were coded as general funds and move them to some categorical funds appropriately, and that allowed us to reduce the payroll a bit in December. And so there's continuing monitoring and cleanup of payroll coding and staffing as we speak. But this was a positive change for us. It takes some of the pressure off. You also note that hours and subs are down slightly from the November level, and both the November and December levels are well below the prior year's levels. So we are seeing control of our staffing. That's giving us a little sense of optimism there.
Deputy Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction, Karen Walden, and her team gave a presentation before the board highlighting the district's approach to credit recovery and the Atlanta Virtual Academy. The Atlanta Virtual Academy is a part of district-wide efforts to ensure that more APS students graduate from high school.
How do we respond when our students don't learn? And what do we do when students have demonstrated that they have already learned the information that has been presented? In curriculum and instruction, we strive to create an educational system that supports the success of all students. We know that 52% of our students who began grade 9 in 2007-2008 graduated with their regular diploma 4 years later in spring 2011. We know that our students in the first year of high school who fail English and mathematics are 9 times more likely to drop out. We know that approximately 15% of our students who drop out are only 3 credits short of the credit requirement for graduation. We know that approximately 60% of our dropouts exit our district while enrolled in grades 9 and grade 10. We also know that 52% of our students who do graduate, of those, 37% of those students go on to attend a public post-secondary school in Georgia, either in the university system of Georgia or in the technical college system of Georgia. Of those, only 45% do not require remediation in English and or mathematics, meaning that 55% of our students going on to public post-secondary education in Georgia require remediation. So we have identified a potential solution that we believe will support our students in their drive toward graduation.
During the presentation, team members discussed the purpose of unit and credit recovery and the Atlanta Virtual Academy, such as to increase the graduation rate and reduce the dropout rate, opportunities for acceleration for students who want to get ahead, virtual learning opportunities, and opportunities for students to take classes not offered on their campus. According to the Curriculum and Instruction Department, the Atlanta Virtual Academy will begin with a small pilot in the spring and will be offered district-wide beginning in the fall. The district will provide the program to middle and high school students, adding elementary school in subsequent years. All courses required for graduation and some foreign language courses will be offered in this program. At the January 14th meeting, the proposed district calendars for 2013-14 and 2014-15 were brought before the board for first read. After lengthy discussion, the board voted unanimously to table the first read of the calendar until the February 4th board meeting to provide APS and the board additional time to hear and consider feedback from the community, parents, and students during scheduled community meetings. At the February 4th meeting, some members of the board expressed concern about community input and whether or not the input received from APS stakeholders was taken into consideration.
Yes, I'm frankly a little surprised to see that it looks exactly the same as it did last month. I thought, part of our request to delay the first read was because we were going to then have the community meetings for the community members that were going to the meetings or providing input to feel like they were going to really be heard. I think that was why we made the decision to delay it, so that that input could go into the proposed calendar before we did the first read. And as far as I can tell, it's exactly the same. And so I guess my question would be, was the input taken and put into this, or was it not for some reason, and why not?
According to Superintendent Davis, the calendar development process for 2013-14 and 2014-15 included a community-wide survey with approximately 5,900 respondents, as well as analysis of student attendance data. The proposed calendars were also reviewed by a diverse committee representing parents, employees, and communities across the city. Feedback from this committee has been incorporated into the proposal.
And I don't want to say that people's comments were ignored, but I will say we heard them. We simply didn't agree with enough of them to make changes. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Hear does not mean agree. And we had the meetings. We got 100 comments. If I compare this, and last time when you adopted the calendar, you had 321 comments, 98% of which were in opposition. We have, at the moment, 78% in opposition and a third of the comments.
At the February 4th meeting, Board Member Butler Burks asked for this item to be removed from the consent agenda and brought before the board for discussion and action. The board voted to approve the calendar for first read, but members of the board will attend an extensive work session later this month to discuss additional items and options surrounding the calendar. The Atlanta Board of Education recently approved a task force to review the proposal to rename Cascade Elementary School to the Dr. Joseph Eccles Lowry Elementary School. The task force is chaired by Ms. Yolanda K. Johnson and Mr. Byron D. Amos. The task force held a meeting on Wednesday, January 16, 2013, to discuss the proposed name change. Following the task force meeting at the February 4th board meeting, board member Yolanda Johnson recommended that the board not move forward with the renaming of Cascade Elementary School. After lengthy discussion surrounding participants at the task force meeting, sufficient community input, and policy, the board voted to reseat the task force for 30 days in order to receive additional recommendations from the community. The Policy Review Committee will also review the board's policy on renaming facilities. In December, Atlanta Public Schools announced that as a result of a generous contribution by the GE Foundation, every classroom teacher, assistant principal, and principal will receive critical training to allow them to hone their skills implementing the new Common Core Georgia Performance Standards. This critical training will give APS's classroom teachers the tools necessary to help students compete with their peers around the world. At the February 4th meeting, the board read a resolution authorizing the superintendent to rescind a total of 3 furlough days for designated instructional and support staff, establishing these days as critical work days for the Common Core training. And in honor of National School Counseling Week, February 4th to February 8th, the board recognized Atlanta Public Schools school counselors for the admirable work they perform serving students and families in need. National School Counseling Week focuses public attention on the unique contribution of professional school counselors within U.S. school systems. National School Counseling Week highlights the tremendous impact school counselors can have in helping students achieve school success and plan for a career. At the January 14th meeting, the board voted to appoint 18 individuals to permanent principal positions throughout the district. And at this month's board meeting, Deputy Superintendent Karen Walden introduced the 18 principals who were appointed to permanent positions in APS schools. The board recognized these individuals for their permanent appointments and service to students, parents, and stakeholders at Atlanta Public Schools. At the February 4th meeting, the board voted to approve the ProAct search firm to conduct the superintendent search. Another item surrounding the superintendent search was also up for discussion at February's meeting. At this meeting, the board also discussed the superintendent search committee composition. Board Chair Ruben McDaniel read the list of names for the committee. He suggested taking the top 3 names on the list in addition to the first attorney on the list to serve as the 4 board-appointed members of the committee.
As part of our search committee work, the board is recommending or selected 4 citizens to be part of the committee. They're going to be Ann Kramer, who's a foundation person, Beverly Tatum, who's the current president of Spelman College, Ernest Greer, who's a well-known lawyer in town who's been very active in school programs, and Cynthia Kuhlman, who is over at Drew Charter School, really brings a perspective of charter schools, but also she worked at APS for a long time. And so I think we have 4 members who will really bring some diverse community input into the selection process. The next steps is to get the mayor and myself to have our individual selections of individuals that will be part of the committee and board members as part of the committee. And then we agreed to have several organizations, the Council of PTAs, some parent organizations, select a committee member. And so we expect over the next week or 2 that those will be completed. And by the week of February 18th, we'll have our search committee finalized.
Members of the board attended a Parents for Atlanta Public Schools legislative reception on Tuesday, February 5th, 2013. This reception provided an opportunity for elected officials and the parents of education leaders of Atlanta to meet and discuss education issues over dessert and coffee. Board members and school system leaders are also re-engaging the city's 25 neighborhood planning units, or NPUs. An NPUZ meeting is scheduled for February 26th at 7 p.m. at Roselle Fan Recreation Center with Dr. Danielle Battle and board members Courtney English, Brenda Muhammad, Yolanda Johnson, and Emmett Johnson. If you represent a community organization that would like to schedule a meeting with an APS leader, we ask that you call the Office of External Affairs at 404-802-2826. At each board meeting, community stakeholders are given an opportunity to speak publicly to the board. Several of the public comments at the February 4th meeting addressed the interim principal at Bunch Middle School, the incident at Price Middle School, and disciplinary measures throughout the district. Let's take a brief look at a few of the night's public comments.
I'm here on behalf of Bunch Middle School as well, and asking and begging you all to please leave our interim principal in there. Our principal now has gained a lot of control back over at Bunch. We do not want to have the situations that have happened in other schools, because I feel that some schools are out of control. And I mean, I'm not just saying it's all leadership, but he has gained a lot of authority back in that school. The morale is back in the schools, the teachers are pumped, the kids are ready to learn. I know that my son himself comes home with a different attitude about being in the school on a day.
Hello, my name is Craig Johnson II, and I'm a 7th grade student and scholar at Bunch Middle School. I would like to beg and plead that you please leave Mr. Watkins in place as a principal at Bunch Middle School. Mr. Watkins has turned the school around 360 degrees compared to my last year at Bunch. Today we had an honors program, and to see the amount of students, especially boys, who achieved honor roll and received awards was amazing. Last year compared to this year is totally different. The discipline is way better for everyone, especially young men that attend Bunch Middle School. We have more men visible in the school and all day. Lastly, most of all, the morale and spirit is back. Please help to continue to build a better Bunch. Thank you.
The problem of a lack of discipline and unbridled freedom spills over into all areas of our lives: finances, health, quality of food, air, etc. And the lack of discipline transcends socioeconomic, racial, and geographical boundaries and makes for an uncomfortable subject when we dare expose this elephant. Schools can't fix the whole society, but we will fix what professional educators and board members should be in control of.
Board Chair Ruben McDaniel says the board has a lot of upcoming work centered around the school calendar and the search for a permanent superintendent. Listen to Ruben's remarks regarding the February 4th meeting as he recaps important moments and outlines key objectives for the board moving forward.
Well, I thought we had a pretty efficient meeting. We had some good community input. I think that the discussion around the calendar is going to be one that will kind of take up some time between now and March. We had a board presentation on some of the interventions that the curriculum instruction department is doing, and that was helpful just to begin understanding, more about those processes and procedures. And so I think it was a good informative board meeting and fairly efficient. As we get the first read of the calendar done, the calendar is an important tool that we use, what we call the game board, if you will, for education. And there will be some significant changes in the calendar, but we had an opportunity to review the calendar and kind of determine where we're going with that. And then finally, the third thing I would say is that we made some progress on the superintendent search, putting together several of the committee members that will be on that committee, as well as selecting PROACT to do the search. The search will kind of begin process fairly quickly, but as far as being in earnest, will be fall of this year when we start searching in earnest, and certainly have Mr. Davis through June of next year. And so we're not in a hurry to do it, but we want to do it right to find the best superintendent possible. Well, we're coming to budget season, and the good news is we got a report this past board meeting that our revenues this year and our expenses are in line, if not even a little better than expected. So that's helpful going into budget season. But we do know there will be difficulties. We know that the tax rolls will probably be flat or even down a little bit. And we know from a student perspective, we have a lot of needs and issues we have to address with our students. They cost money. We want to make sure that each student has a great teacher that they're working with, and great administration, and great facilities. And so budget's going to be the big issue really starting this spring.
Thank you for tuning in. Tune in each month for information regarding the Atlanta Board of Education and important agenda items from monthly board meetings. The next board meeting will be held on March 4th, 2013 at the Center for Learning and Leadership, 130 Trinity Avenue, Atlanta, Georgia 30303. Stakeholders who would like to provide public comment during the monthly Committee of the Whole meeting should contact the board office at least 1 hour prior to the scheduled start time of the Committee of the Whole meeting by calling 404-802-2200. Stakeholders wishing to address the board during the community meeting must register in person at the sign-in table from 5 o'clock p.m. to 5:50 p.m. on the day of the community meeting. Community members must list their names and agenda item or topic they wish to address. Community members will be given up to 2 minutes to address the board. At APS, we are renewing our commitment to you.